Halifax Sports Talk. We are back, Andrew and Dayton with you, and we are here to talk about a couple different topics today. Halifax Mooseheads, St. Mary's Huskies, a little bit of Grey Cup action. And how about a Maritimer doing very well in the AHL? All kinds of great stuff to mention. But we'll start things off with the Halifax Mooseheads. They keep it exciting. I keep on saying on every single show, in victory or defeat, this Halifax Mooseheads team, they're keeping it close. Dayton, how are you? Your thoughts? Halifax Mooseheads, they drop it this weekend 4-3, but in shootout fashion. This team, man, they don't know how to play in lopsided games. It's always close.
Well, Andrew, I'm doing well. It's pretty cold outside here. It's a chilly one here today. But like you said, exciting. Saturday at the Metro or Scotiabank Center. Sorry, it's not 2001 anymore. But yeah, the most exciting part, I think, could have been the wiener dog race in the second intermission. They lined up wiener dogs from blue line to blue line, or maybe it was goal line to blue line. And yeah, it was goal line to blue line. And just watching those dogs rip down the ice, it was amazing. But no, on a serious note, the Halifax Mooseheads took a lead into the third period, and they're unable to keep and maintain that lead because of a penalty shot. Malik Letalien kind of got in with a little hook on Preston Lounsbury, which ended up tying the game. And then, as we know it, things went on not in Halifax's way. So, yeah, unfortunate for the Mooseheads going into the third with a lead, coming out of the third tied. So, not exactly what you want. You got to finish those 60 minutes like we've talked about all season. But, yeah, it's a learning curve for the Mooseheads.
Yeah, the penalty shot, kind of interesting in this one, too. You don't see that very often anymore. And, you know, it's I always find it kind of anticlimactic because sometimes you see, okay, wow, are they going to award him a penalty shot? Are they going to award him a penalty shot? And then they do, and they don't score. It's like, oh, okay. Like, not often you actually see the guy capitalize on it, but we did see that happen in this game. And as you mentioned, as much as I'm being positive here about coming out of it with a point, you know, you lose in the shootout. They did have the lead. But what a rivalry here between this Moncton Wildcats team and the Halifax Mooseheads. I watched a video. Who was it? They had it was the Moose podcast with Cuzner and Scott McIntosh, and they had two Moose players on it. I think one of them was Eddie Doyle. Who was the other one? Do you remember? Kilfoyle, exactly. And talking about, like, you know, the favorite teams to watch or favorite teams to go against. And then I think they started asking some of the other players as well. And it's Moncton. And if you go back throughout the years, it was always Eagles. Maybe at one point it was actually Bathurst when they were around. But, you know, maybe it was like a former playoff opponent from the Quebec division. But if you look in the last 4 to 5 years, it has been the Moncton Wildcats for all of these players. We have a rivalry here. And no matter who's been higher in the standings, who's had higher expectations, these two teams are constantly playing in full-on battles, and it's good to see here.
Yeah, and that one point that you talked about, the Mooseheads grabbed in the shootout, was actually key for them. I know every game that they've played against Moncton this season has been a very tight one. Both teams have been in both games, but we said before that if Halifax could get the win in regulation, they would move 5 points up on Moncton. Moncton was 3 points behind them. They gained 2 points. Halifax gains 1. So they cut the lead to 2, but Halifax still has a 2-point lead on them. So about a game back, if you want to speak baseball terms. I think it's still, like I said, it was a learning curve for the Mooseheads, but at the end of the day, at least you still have that lead on Moncton in the standings. And I guess for the rivalry aspect, they might want to take the Battle of Nova Scotia and just make like a Battle of the Maritimes or something. Yeah. Change that one and get a New Jersey for when they play Moncton. Man, it's been crazy. And like we said last year, there was some trades that went on. Crosby and Vidicek and Dylan McKinnon and Matthews Rousseau, 4 Mooseheads going to Moncton. So there's a little bit of friendly animosity there whenever they played. So it was great, and it's nice to see it carrying through. And looks like we have a new rivalry here in the, I guess we can't say Maritimes division because there's no division anymore, but the Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference, right. And when you look at this Eagles team, maybe it's just because they, when they've been good, the Mooseheads haven't been. And let's be honest here, the Eagles haven't really had it going great over the last little while. But then again, I did hear they were packing the building in the playoffs, so we'll see if they can get back to that. And it's important for that team to have a good, solid core and be able to get that community in Sydney and in Cape Breton out for playoff games. And I think that if they can embrace that Nova Scotia rivalry, it is good for the league overall. But yeah, it's been Moncton, it's been Halifax, it's been the main rivalry. But overall, you're doing your post game shows. I still want to join you, but just your overall takes. Your overall take from this game, and then of course now the West Coast road trip, which we will preview this Thursday, which you guys can get at the end of the week on all podcast networks. But your overall take, one game, one and done this weekend, Mooseheads and Wildcats. I mean, do you think it's 2 points that they missed out on, or can they say, okay, it played a quality opponent, we'll take the 1 point, it is what it is. Power play goal from Carrier, good to see, but maybe some costly mistakes as well from them.
As much as I do want to say, a great game. Brisson stopped 27 of 30. Danny Walters made a great pass in front to Connor McPherson. He could have shot one into the pads of Rudy Guimond, but he fed one backdoor to McPherson. He slammed it home for his 4th of the season. But it's just tough to look at the positives when you have a 3-2 lead going into the third period against a team that you've beat twice already this season. Now the season series is tied. I think it is time that we can finally say, the Mooseheads did lose 2 points here.
And it's okay to admit that for this team. I think it's probably a positive thing, because if they're coming out with a point, they're losing 4-3, and we're saying, man, they should have had both of those. I think it's probably a good thing to look at. But, this is how junior hockey works, and Caleb Denoyer gets the only goal in the shootout for the Moncton win. I know it sounds so cheesy, but your big players have to make the big plays for you, and he was the one that was able to come out on top. It's hard for us to be upset about that, because look at where he was drafted. Look at what he's projected to do. Look what they're hoping he can do at the next level. Unfortunately for the Mooseheads, he stepped up big time for his team.
Man, I wish the Habs were able to pick 16. Was it 15 and 16 or 16 and 17? Whatever it was. I wish they were able to make a move with Utah and grab that 4th overall pick, because having Caleb Denoyer on your roster would be some nice. I know he's definitely going to have a good career ahead of him, and I don't think it would surprise many people if he's actually playing on that Mammoth roster next year.
I think so. Just what he brings offensively, night in, night out, he's more than capable. And I think for a player that some people might have said, is he a physical guy? And I think he deals well with physicality, which is really the big stepping stone that you say when you go from kind of one league to the next. So I think he's more than capable of it. Once again, guys, we will be previewing the upcoming road trip for the Halifax Mooseheads. So this was their last game of several home games they had for a while. They won't be home for a little bit after that game on Saturday. So sure, they would have liked to have come out on top, give the fans something to be happy about on the way home, but they gave them a good game, and we'll see what kind of damage they can do on the road.
Well, can we talk about that for a second? The trip home, you got the Mooseheads game just ending, the Halifax Parade of Lights starting at the same time. The traffic getting out of Halifax on Saturday night must have been dirty. My buddy, I was doing a game over at the RBC Center, like I told you, and I was going to go see my buddy, and he's like, yeah, traffic in Halifax is pretty bad. Don't want to get you stuck. And I was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I'm going home. So,
man, I literally, and you're completely right, especially with the Halifax Parade of Lights. It's horrible. I saw a list come out today, and it was ranking the worst commutes to work, drives to work for cities in Canada. And keep in mind, this is including Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Halifax was in the upper echelon, the upper tier for that, for worst and longest commutes to work out of all cities in Canada, which is crazy to say. So yeah, that's actually a pet peeve of mine, a passion of mine, actually, is how horrible the traffic situation. That's a problem we have in Halifax right now. I could actually, weirdly enough, talk about this for way too long. So it's funny you just brought that up, because it's something that this city needs to deal with. Our transportation is not good enough, and there's not enough parking downtown. there was a time where I was Ubering everywhere. I was ordering too much Uber Eats to the house. And I was like, all right, man, you got to start saving more. And number one is Uber. All right. Like you got to chill out with that. So like if I was like going somewhere, especially if I'm going to a dinner, like my girlfriend and I are going to dinner with somebody else, or we're going, it's like one of us is having a few drinks. One of us isn't. We're driving the car. But now I'll tell you, like even in the summer, going to a Halifax Wanderers game, I would rather pay like the $15-20 Uber each way just to not have to circle the venue for 20 minutes trying to find a parking spot. So you just triggered something from me that you didn't even know you were going to get out of me. Halifax has a parking problem and a traffic problem. So you might not have seen that coming from me, but it's a problem in Halifax right now.
Oh man, it's definitely tough. I know that the bridge or both bridges have something to do with that, and the amount of people that go from Dartmouth to Halifax or Halifax to Dartmouth each day. And if one of the bridges is closed, you got to do the bypass and go all the way back to Sackville, go all the way. Like, it's crazy.
Or one accident, like one idiot like runs out of gas on the bridge, then everybody is screwed. So yeah, this is probably the most enraged I've been on this podcast so far. You're bringing it out of me. You're bringing it out of me. The bridge, at least, you know what I will say, the bridge has gotten a lot better since the toll booths have been gone.
Oh yes,
way different.
Yes.
Way different.
I love it.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see if that keeps up. But also, more people are moving to Dartmouth now. Fun fact, though. So we'll see. More people are moving to Dartmouth, but they're working in Halifax, so they all have to live in Dartmouth but get over to Halifax. So that can be kind of an issue. But yes, you're right. The fans probably weren't happy to have seen the 4-3 shootout loss and then had to go home and sit in their car for like 20 minutes while the parade was going on. So that's not very good. But earlier on in the day, we've been leading off with the Mooseheads for a while, so we'll keep doing that on the podcast. But earlier on in the day, it was the Uteck Bowl. We had the St. Mary's Huskies. We had the Montreal Carabins. And, of course, we mentioned 23.5-point favorites, 25.5-point favorites, closing number on Coolbet. Well, Montreal ends up winning this one 49-19. I promise you guys out there, that game was a hell of a lot closer, at least in the first half, than the score dictates. We had multiple turnovers. We had failed red zone opportunities for the St. Mary's Huskies. It just wasn't meant to be. But before I throw it to you, Dayton, I'm just going to say this. From a viewer perspective, and of course I was cheering on the Huskies, it seemed like everything they did had to be perfect and had to be like the most like well thought out, well executed play. Whereas anything that Montreal did, it seemed like it was just a repetition. It was a practice throw. It looked so comfortable, like these guys were out there on the schoolyard. And I'm not trying to take anything away from St. Mary's, but they were so dialed in. Every catch that they made, every run play they had to have. And Malik Williams, you talked about how impressive he is over the past few weeks. We've been talking about him and this Huskies team. For him to be stuffed on the goal line, back-to-back plays, the commentators were saying it. He has not been used to that all year long. He was the best goal line back in the AUS. So, yes, he did eventually get in the end zone. But what I'm saying here is that this, unfortunately, similar to what we saw in 2018, similar to what we saw in 2011, it's proving that the AUS versus RSEQ teams, it's just not a good match.
Yeah, maybe Bishops should go back to the RSEQ and we might get like a fair matchup here once in a while. But no, the main point I think in this one is that there's blowout games, which we saw in the Loney Bowl when Acadia played, or not in the Loney Bowl, but or was it the Loney Bowl when Acadia played St. Mary's? No, that was a semifinal.
Semifinal.
Yeah, when St. Mary's blew them out 37-0. That was a blowout. But then there's games like this, 49-19. That's not a blowout. That's just a game where the bounces just didn't go your way. Things didn't end up crossing the line like you might have hoped. Like you said, Malik Williams stuffed twice at the line. That's not something they're used to and not something they're used to having to fix in a split-second situation in a game where they're down 30 points. Like, the St. Mary's team was in some situations this Saturday that they're definitely not used to. with a team that's a little bit better than most of the teams that they played this season.
And
So some stiffer competition, I guess, is probably what I'm trying to say.
100%. But I am here to say that in the first half, watching that game, the St. Mary's Huskies very well could have been right in that game. Like, I was texting Pat Mayo about it. I said, look, this team should be in this game right now. When it comes down to it, they had an interception that went in their way, and they had kind of the Carabin a little bit shocked, like, whoa, this team's playing defense against us. They had a strip sack fumble recovery. Then they had, I think, 2 interceptions of their own, the Huskies, thrown in the red zone, in the end zone. So it just didn't work out. I mean, when you talk about it, you're throwing not 1, but 2 picks in the end zone. That's not good. And I think a lot of that was due to Malik Williams getting stuffed. They realized they had to throw it. But here's the caveat. Here's the big thing that, as a huge fan of Canadian football and someone that watches a lot of CFL, which we'll get to in a second, I couldn't believe it. So that fumble recovery that they got, and it was a big defensive lineman. I was telling you about it on the phone. We were talking. He was running as fast as he could, but guys caught up to him. I think he went down around the 30-yard line. They'd end up kicking a field goal there, and it was in the third quarter. Now, in the CFL, especially with it being a 3-down sport, and again, they're not aware of the point spreads here. 25.5 is what me and you were aware of. Why kick a field goal? Like, nothing makes less sense than turning a 3-possession game into a 3-possession game by kicking a field goal. Like, I don't care if it's about pride. Oh, we had to put some points on the board, because you're going to kick 3, and then Montreal is going to go down the other end, and they're going to get 7 on you, or they're going to immediately answer and get 3. Like, you see this in college football in the States. When you have another team that you're playing that at very minimum on all their drives, they're getting a field goal and you're the underdog, you have to be going for it on 3rd down. So that was kind of a head scratcher from the coaching. But other than that, I'm here to say there were opportunities, like seeing the bright lights and seeing the interceptions for St. Mary's. That is a little bit disappointing. But overall, I mean, Pepe Gonzalez played super well. Matthew Barcelo, he played really well. 3 touchdowns for him. He's a running back, but he's pretty much a fullback because he's so huge and he's great back there. But hey, Grey Cup, as you were saying to me earlier, got to give you credit. It's kind of a Grey Cup rematch, just U Sports edition. Montreal will take on Saskatchewan, and the funny thing is, Montreal is going from playing one Huskies team to another Huskies team. So kind of cool. But yeah, and you have kind of an interesting story for us about this Huskies team.
Yes. I was also thinking of something. I was like, which one? But yeah, the Saskatchewan Huskies actually a few days ago just found out that their starting quarterback was diagnosed with cancer. So they've actually been playing with a backup, and gives them a little bit of motivation, I guess you would say, Andrew. Something to play for, someone to play for, and if they do win, holy smokes, what a story.
Yeah, we're wishing him all the best and thinking of him, and horrible time to find that out, and just, just a young guy playing a sport at a high level, and to find that out right now is very tough. But teams, it's a brotherhood, it's a family, and they'll rally around him 100%. But again, Grey Cup rematch sort of here with Montreal and Saskatchewan, and we'll see what ends up happening in the Vanier Cup. We'll keep our tabs on it. But of course, here on this podcast, we're a little bit more concerned about the Halifax or Maritimes-based teams. Getting to the Grey Cup, though, Saskatchewan Roughriders, they do come out on top against the Montreal Alouettes. I'm a huge CFL guy. It seemed like kind of a younger team versus older team, or younger QB versus older QB. Trevor Harris had never won a Grey Cup as a starting quarterback. Davis Alexander had never lost a start in his career. Of course, he was dealing with that hamstring injury, but a wild game, kind of an unfortunate fumble there at the end of the game for Shea Patterson from the Montreal Alouettes, and who knows what would have ended up happening in that if he didn't fumble that. But look, a lot of my buddies, they're NFL guys, and they won't even give the CFL the time of day, but I'm here to say that the Grey Cup is always a good battle. Like last year, the Argos were 9-point underdogs, and they won the game outright. Like, no matter what the projections are, the standings are, the Grey Cup's always going to give you a good game. And I got to say this, and I don't know if you were able to see this, Dayton. MGK is not really someone that makes my Spotify playlist by any means. He did a pretty good job, I think, at the halftime show. He was all right. So I got to tip my cap to MGK because he was actually pretty good. Never thought I'd be tipping my cap to MGK, that's for sure. Maybe besides landing Megan Fox, I'll tip my cap to him for that. But yeah, that halftime show was pretty good. But I just wanted to shout out Brett Lauther. Brett Lauther from Truro, Nova Scotia. He gets the Grey Cup. I think he had a 48-yard field goal in that game, and he's been with the Riders for a very long time. And, this team has kind of been the team that he's been with his whole career as a CFL player, and kind of a cool segue for us to go from the St. Mary's Huskies to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because Brett Lauther was the field goal kicker many, many years ago for the St. Mary's Huskies. So congratulations to Brett. Congratulations to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but love seeing Maritimers do very well.
I just wanted to bring this up. You mentioned Toronto winning the Grey Cup last year. It was after class. We had like an 11:30 class one night. I think it might have been like a Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know. It was pretty late. We were at the local Liberty Village in Toronto, and my buddy, he turned around and he goes, "Man, that's the Argos with the Grey Cup."
No way.
Like, no way. And he's like, "I'm going to go take a picture." So my buddy walks over, and the guy was like, "Do you want to take a picture with me in the Grey Cup?" And he walks over and he just takes the cup and gets a picture.
He just wants the Grey Cup picture. That is awesome.
He just took it. Oh, I love it.
The Grey Cup. Oh, man, I'm telling you, like, the Grey Cup is always good. And my friends will make fun of me because I'm the biggest CFL fan they know, but it always produces a good game at least. And I know there's a lot of homes in Canada that probably the only game they watch all year is the Grey Cup. They're not watching CFL throughout the year maybe, but the Grey Cup's always good. So we're going to try and maybe get a conversation with Brett at some point. But you know what? Field goal kicker for that team, had a lot of success over the years. And people would say that probably wasn't his best year this year. And, they picked him up when he needed them, and he had some big kicks for them as well. And he did very well in the divisional final game against BC. So congrats to Brett, Grey Cup champion, coming back to Truro, Nova Scotia. So always good to see. And also cool that he stuck around and went to school at St. Mary's before he went off to the CFL. So that was cool. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, Jacob Melanson from Amherst, Nova Scotia. We got to keep the pride going on this show from the Nova Scotian boys and from the Maritimers. First career pro hat trick. He's down there in the AHL. We're hoping he gets his shot though with the Seattle Kraken. Good to see him. And it's not always an easy step up to the NHL. The second you get drafted, you got to do your due diligence. You got to play in the queue for a couple of years. You got to go play in the minors. Then you get your call up. You get your shot in the pros. But pretty cool to see. Jacob Melanson, really talented offensive weapon. We've seen him play in the queue for two teams. He, in fact, terrorized the Halifax Mooseheads on more than one occasion, but really happy to see that for him. And 3 nice goals, too. Not like one of those hat tricks where 1 or 2 of the goals is fluky. Melanson had some nice goals here with the Thunderbirds. Is that correct?
Phoenix. Coachella Valley? In the AHL, it was the Thunderbirds.
AHL, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the Q. Yes. No, the AHL, Coachella Valley Thunderbirds, pretty sure it's the newest team in the AHL as well, like the affiliate of Seattle. But yeah, sick jerseys as well, sick logo, sick look to the team. But props to the home province kid.
It's good to see. So we'll always try and keep tabs on guys. And I was happy to see that for him. Saw that on my feed. And I was like, all right, you know what? He didn't just get a hat trick. He or didn't just get a goal or two. He got a hat trick and led the team to a good one there. 4-1 victory for them. So had to mention that. 2 nice goals, but I got to correct myself. Third one was a empty net goal. So we'll put that little asterisk, but still, it's a real hat trick. We've seen Ovechkin and many good goal scorers get hat tricks or have big games with empty net goals as well. So good to see there. We wanted to shout something out that the Halifax Mooseheads did at their game before the game started. And, well, the Halifax Mooseheads, the organization, the fan base, they really, really appreciated and had a love for someone that wasn't just the anthem singer. He was someone that represented Halifax Mooseheads and the fans and the entire team. Peter Bayless, he is gone too soon. He's passed away. We give our condolences to his family and friends and all his loved ones. But the Halifax Mooseheads, they had a little speech about him before the game, but then they did something that you thought they should do, Dayton, and they played a soundtrack of him singing before the game. That was a great moment.
Yeah, I think you sent me the video by Ian Robinson.
Yes.
I watched the same one, and he kind of turned his phone, pointed it up at the Jumbotron, and they had a video of Peter up on the Jumbotron and everything. It was probably the best way that they could have done it. It's very nice cool to see.
I just remembered him for years. He would get the crowd into it, right? He would stop singing for like 20 seconds, maybe. The crowd would get into it. And imagine being like 16, 17, 18 years old. You're from, Quebec, or you're from another team, and you're coming into the Scotiabank Center. Me and you always talk about how that's the biggest arena besides the Videotron Center in Quebec. And you not only have like a bunch of people singing the anthem, you've got an anthem singer that stops singing himself altogether because the fans are getting behind it that much. And then whenever he would come back to deliver the final couple lines of "Oh Canada," it was electric. So
the Go Moose Go with he always had the towel. Oh yeah,
exactly. So our condolences go out to his loved ones and his family, and very, very tragic to hear about that. But I'm happy that he was able to get his moment and get a couple more moments on the ice as the anthem singer for the Mooseheads, and great stuff there by the Halifax Mooseheads. Always a very classy organization. So that's it for me. We've got the Look Ahead podcast coming up on Thursday. Anything else you wanted to add before we go out?
December 11th, January 17th. No, I got those mixed up. December 17th, January 11th. So Toronto versus Montreal, PWHL, the Victoire and the Scepters, first game at the Scotiabank Center in Halifax. And then, like I just said, January 11th, the Ottawa Charge and the Boston Fleet. So it sucks that Hillary Knight actually won't be making a trip over to Halifax because she got traded to Seattle. She was just named captain of Seattle, but still two pretty good matchups. You get Toronto and Montreal just on the women's side, and now Boston and Ottawa, the Battle of Lexia Gia, if anyone follows women's hockey.
Cool.
Yeah. So
what? That league is growing. That league's done very, very well. And you know what happens when Halifax hosts anything like that. It does very, very well. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, probably a good idea to get them now. It's going to be a really good event. So I'm already looking forward to our Thursday show, previewing the road trip for the Halifax Mooseheads and anything else going on around the city. So that will do it for a jam-packed episode here, Halifax Sports Talk. And we thank all of you for watching and listening. And we are, of course, available across all networks, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you can find us. I think we're there. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. And, of course, on YouTube, as always, as well. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.